tonight's meeting is a special meeting. It has no public comments. We're only going to speak about what's on the agenda and what's on the agenda only, and each council person will have the opportunity to speak. So, with that being said, Trina, I think you have something you need to read. Councilman Amburgey could not make it tonight. So.
Councilman Amburgey requested the statement be read in his absence. I regret I cannot attend tonight's meeting to support Todd Barber. However, I have a family medical emergency, which is infinitely more important than tonight's political stunt special meeting. I believe certain elected officials simply fear disagreement and dissent, perhaps because some of their actions do not stand up to even simple scrutiny.
That's it. Thank you, Trina. So, call the meeting to order. I need to get an adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion to?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented, sir.
All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, I'd like to turn the floor over. First of all, business, a discussion of Mayor Pro Tim Barber's recent social media posts and emails and possible violations of elected officials' code of ethics, Canon 2, elected officials policy guidelines, selection 1 and 4, and town's social media guidelines. And I'd like to turn the meeting over right now to Councilmember McIntyre.
Thank you, sir. Sir, last week I sent an email out to the manager and copied the attorney as well and the town clerk, informing them of my request. I alone can't call a special meeting. I do need support or somebody else on the council doing that. Councilman Barber was the person who agreed to have that special meeting as I forwarded that email onto the council. So here we are on a Tuesday night when we should have been on. I'm just going to read one little thing before I get into the meat of this, and then everybody will get a chance to share their opinion. But doing the right thing is not always the easiest path, but it's one that aligns with our values and builds our character. When seen by others or not, whether seen by others or not, these choices define who we are. I continue to strive to make integrity and kindness my compass, guiding me for every decision I make. For fully transparent and effective governance, it's crucial that politicians actively police themselves and hold others accountable. This commitment to self-regulation reinforces public trust, ensures ethical conduct, and strengthens the democratic process. By setting a standard of responsibility from within, we pave the way for more than just accountability and political landscape. Embracing free speech is vital, but it comes with responsibility. We have to express our thoughts with respect, refrain from slander or libel, and upholding these principles nurtures a healthy exchange of ideas while preserving the dignity and reputation of all individuals. I called for this meeting today to discuss statement made by Mr. Todd Barber, or Mayor Pro Tem of the Town of Unethical, on Facebook, a social media platform. The post was put up with quotes from the IT planning director that were never uttered. This was false, misleading, disingenuous, and a blatant attempt to sow discord in the town, and that will lead to the creation of a hostile work environment. As a member of the elected group of the town, we can't have somebody else out in public, in the public domain, posting false information, with some members of the public here in town advocating for their dismissal or firing. That is unacceptable, and I cannot stand by and not act. I have to speak up. We have to create a harmonious work environment, and that requires proactive steps to reduce hostility, encourage open communication, empathy, and respect among colleagues. We should address conflicts promptly, promote diversity, and lead by example. We don't have to be friends, but we need to be professional and work towards a good outcome. We can transform this workplace into a space where everyone feels valued and supported. All of the information that I'm going to be speaking on tonight, I'm going to ask the town manager to make it available to the general public right after this meeting, and then the council will have the very same information. And with that, sir, I'll get right into it. The elected officials' code of ethics, Canon 2. The mayor and the council, it states simply, the mayor and the council members should uphold the integrity and independence of his or her office. The mayor and the town council members should demonstrate the high standards of personal integrity, truthfulness, honesty, and fortitude in all their public activities in order to inspire public confidence and trust in local government. The mayor and the town council members should participate in establishing, maintaining, and enforcing, and should themselves observe high standards of conduct, as that the integrity and independence of the office may be preserved. All right. So I'll get into it right there. On the last planning board meeting that was held in the middle of February, in the middle of August, our planning director, Ms. Deese, made a statement. And I'm going to read that statement, and I want it to be read into the record, because I want to make sure we're very accurate on that. Ms. Deese said, "You eliminated those uses that consume a lot of land or a lot of dead space. I know churches, eliminating that use might be a hard choice, and this board can say no. We want to put churches back as a permitted use, and we will put that capital P in the chat for you. However, Sunday morning and Wednesday night, that creates a lot of dead space for the environment that you are trying to create and that we said we wanted." I have the post here, sir, and that's what really brought my attention. I saw it. It says here, and that is, this is not something that I made up, this is verbatim. I have copies of this post by Mr. Barber on his Elect Todd Barber page. Brought it over to his personal Facebook page. He says, "Churches are not part of the environment we want." And those are in quotes, sir. Saying, and then it goes on to say, IT planner explaining proposed downtown master plan call at meeting. "I will not vote for any plan where churches are not welcome. We move to Union Trail due to its family-oriented environment. Churches are a healthy backbone of the community," and so on. So, this was the post that he put up. And if you read, I can go through and read every one of them, and I probably should. But within this post are people calling for the firing of the planning director. I am an elected member of this body. The planning director doesn't act on her own accord. The planning director acts in accordance with the things that we as a council have instructed her to do, to the tune of $90,000 to create this downtown master plan. All right? So, there are questions that come up. I'm not at all shocked. These bureaucrats that run Indian Trail are a joke, but Indian Trail isn't the only town with them. Indian Trail needs to slow down. The people who is wanting this to happen is in it for money. And I don't want to read this and really put this on, our staff, because the planning department is really, in my opinion, under attack. However, this is really creating a hostile work environment, and we as the members here, I couldn't sit back and allow this to be posted, to be said, to not be retracted, to not be apologized for. The second thing, and I'll come back to that in a minute, sir, but let me just ask you, before I go on to the other things, if there's anybody else up here who wants to speak on this, because I do have quite a bit more, sir. I don't want to hog all the time.
Yeah.
I think that anytime somebody sends an internal email referring to one of our professional employees in the planning department and calls them ignorant is somebody extremely qualified. That's creating a hostile work environment. It's not necessary, it's not true, and it's totally irresponsible and unethical to take things out of context and to upset the people in the community and make them think that we're anti-church, we want rid of churches. Churches are the foundation of our society. They're one of the most important things that we have here in our country, and that's freedom of religion. Anytime somebody tries to circumvent that or scare the public into thinking that our governing body is against churches that's just scary as far as our democracy goes and our elected government.
Are you done, Mr. Guy?
Yes.
Mr. Matt, do you have?
No, I want to know if anybody else wants to speak. All right. Sir, this was followed up by another post with the same thing. This upsets me. eliminating churches is a hard choice. Sunday morning to Wednesday night, creating a lot of desk space, and the full court again. It's an attack on, in my opinion, on the planning director. The planning director is a professional who is offering her professional opinion, not her personal, professional opinion. Because she was instructed as part of our fiscal year 2022 plan to go ahead and put together a downtown master plan that was approved unanimously by this board. The downtown master plan, creating a downtown, and the roads and infrastructure was tied for #1 when we did our strategic plan components with, I think, the Central Carolina Regional Council. These were things that we, as the prior council, voted to approve. And she came and presented her professional opinion. But she didn't do it internally. They subbed it out to somebody else. So when I sit here, sir, and I listen to things that are being said, and I see people asking for the IT planner to be dismissed and they should be fired. What should I do? Should I say nothing? Should I just be quiet and observe it? This is an employee of the town who is not an elected individual. They're just an employee. They're doing the job to the best of their ability, following the instructions. So that's one of the reasons why I called the town, why I asked for this meeting. The second part of this meeting, sir, or the second section 1, in terms of communication with town staff. I'll read it again. Elected officials shall communicate with town staff through the town manager. Elected officials may converse with staff of the town clerk, but all requests for information or formal inquiries must go through the town manager. The town's elected officials may not direct town staff. Direction to all town staff is reserved for the town manager. Section 4 talks about inquiries and investigations. The request for information regarding current or former employees or an investigation into the town's affairs may only be made upon receiving approval by a majority voting council. As you'll see in the email that's going to follow, council has taken no such vote. Council is advised to consult with the town manager, HR director, and the town attorney prior to engaging in any investigations, unless directed to undertake a specific action by an affirmative council vote. On 8/16, email from Mr. Barber to Mr. McLaurin, and that comes after the planning board meeting. Don't be surprised if you are contacted about demanding the person be reprimanded or released. I look forward to hearing how we are handling the so-called employees and the reaction to the orders last night. As a council member, and public doesn't know it, I cannot ask the manager any questions about any staff. I'm not allowed to. Their performance, non-performance, firing, hiring. I cannot. I can have a conversation with the rest of the council about the town manager, because that's the only person that we have the authority to hire and or terminate. But the rest of the council cannot do it. And that right there leads me to a second email. I'm going to read it for you. I have watched part, and that's an email from Mr. Barber to Mr. McLaurin. I have watched part of the planning board meeting. Here's what I heard a staff member say. Churches are not part of the environment we want. Again, for the record, I'll read it again. Ms. Dee's statement, I listened to the meeting too. I watched the entire planning board meeting. Second time I've actually done that. Ms. Deese said it. You eliminate those uses that consume a lot of land or consume a lot of dead space. I know churches, eliminating that use might be a hard choice, and this board can say no. We want to put churches back as a permitted use, and we will put that capital P in the chart for you. However, Sunday morning and Wednesday night, that creates a lot of dead space for the environment that you are trying to create and that we said we wanted. So you can clearly see that is false. And it says that Mr. Barber continues to write, saying, clearly this person knows little about churches as they have schools, daycare, after school, Meals on Wheels, senior women, youth programs, etc. What an ignorant statement. Those are not my words, those are his words. Or we can have a council member writing to the manager saying that an employee is making an ignorant statement. That's unacceptable. cannot be done, should not be done, doesn't fall under his purview. Even if he disagrees, cannot do that in this environment. So we have to ask ourselves a few questions here. Right. I kind of get into, I kind of really go off topic. I have to sort of stay within what we talked about in regards to this meeting, right? I can't talk about specific parts of churches and all that stuff that comes out from the planning board meeting through the downtown plan, right? But in section 4, or section, the social media guidelines, right? Page 33, and everybody got this. I've been here 6 years, you got this. Members should not post any false or misleading material. Clearly, we can see that the information presented here was false and misleading. Personal accounts should follow the same guidelines. Whether you're a public, you have a run for elect or a personal, it has to. Public also probably doesn't know. I cannot block anybody from my account. I cannot, because I'm a public person. Once December's last meeting comes and I'm gone, I can block whoever I want to. I choose not to, but you cannot. Members should not post comments that discredit or adversely affect the efficacy of or the integrity of the town of Indian Church. Posting something that is so blatantly false does that, in my opinion. Members are personally responsible for content they post to social media and may be held liable for inappropriate or illegal or confidential postings. So the thing is, all these things that are being done creates this hostile work environment, all right? It's an environment where somebody could feel, it exposes, puts the town at risk, in my opinion. But it exposes the town and it creates this environment where these employees are afraid to do the job because they don't want to be blasted on social media by somebody else in the town asking for them to be fired. I'm part of this group. If there's something I disagree with the town, I either discuss it among the members or I talk to the manager. But it has to do with the town, right? It's simple as that. I'll pause here for a second to see if anybody else wants to opine. I don't want to be the only one just kind of taking the minutes, but I do realize that I have that information.
Go ahead, Mr. Day.
To me, the sad thing is that this has never even made it to the council. We hired an outside consultant, and the consultant came up with a lot of ideas for our downtown overlay in the future. And there's been so much stuff on social media that I think all of us have been mixed up. I mean, nothing is cemented or in stone until it comes to the council and we vote on it. And I read something a couple of weeks ago where someone said it's in stone, that they're going to bulldoze the churches, they're going to do all these terrible things. And we have a council person who's participating in a lot of these social media things, and apparently it's not, some of the things are not true. So how can we have the confidence of the people in the town when we have these things going on before they even make it to the council, when we can look at it? And then we can, we've already tried to tell people that a lot of these things are not true. They don't have to worry about it. They're not going to lose their buildings. We're not going to bulldoze the churches. So somebody has to be responsible. Okay.
So in regards to this post, we see comments like, concerns a lot of us. It's disappointed who voted to eliminate churches. Looks like they may be talking to them, taking that up with the man himself, right? There were a couple people who actually called Mr. Barber to task, really trying to get him to explain himself, and he wasn't able to, unfortunately. But it what I would have liked to have seen, and he can disagree with this, and this is not personal. People talk about it's an election year. I'm not running for re-election. I'm not. But the thing is, whether I'm running or not, it doesn't prevent me from speaking up when I'm here. I was elected by the people, the good people of the Indian Church, to sit up here for 4 years and make educated decisions, to think hard about that, and to do this without fear or favor. Doesn't matter who comes before me, who it pertains to, right? But that is why I was elected. And when I sit here as an elected individual, I have to be responsible to everybody in the town, including the people who work in this building. We sit up here and we talk about them and we say that we thank the staff and talk about the good work that they do. The team that Mike has assembled here to do the work, the amount of money that these people save the town, the time that they spend here away from their families, answering emails at 4 in the morning and on weekends because of incessant emails from a particular member. Those are the hard, dedicated people that sit here and work here and provide the services to the town to make it a really lovely place to live, right? So when they are attacked on social media, right, for the public to see with false information, I have to speak up. And what I saw, sir, was poor, was dishonest, was disingenuous. I mean, I can use adjectives until the world, the sun comes up tomorrow. But the thing is, as an elected body, we have to address this, which is what we're doing now. And I think we have to do some other things in order to right this wrong, because this was a wrong that I cannot sit by and allow to continue, sir.
Mr. Gay.
I'd like to mention too that I know that we like to advertise that we want to protect the people's money here in the town that all the taxpayers pay, but these frivolous things that have gone on that have had to been answered and straightened out over the past just 2 weeks have cost the town over $5,000 in our attorney's fees. And that's ridiculous to throw away $5,000 over things that we're having to try to explain what the truth is against something that's not the truth. And that's not being responsible for our town's money.
Sorry, I have a question, Mr. Mayor. We have Mr. Amburgey here, not here tonight. So that means that anything that we want to discuss further, we would have to move to the next meeting. Is that correct?
Correct. You can only discuss what's on the agenda.
All right. So, Mr. Mayor, there's another item I wanted to bring up, but unfortunately I can't do it because Mr. Amburgey needs to be in attendance or he needs to be part of a regular meeting. This is not a regular meeting, this is actually a special meeting. So based on those rules, I know that I cannot enter into that discussion. And by so doing, we would have to either postpone or choose to discuss later any of these other items that I have, sir.
Okay, are you finished with your?
For now, sir.
Okay. All right, Mr. Barber, would you like to speak?
Are we done with all allegations?
Does anybody else have anything else to say? Do you need to say anything else, Mr. McIntyre?
I may have a rebuttal, but please allow Mr. Barber to speak.
I appreciate you making all those allegations. Let me speak.
Well, I tell you
That's
what
your-
we'll
that's all
do.
about the
I want you
allegations.
to speak, and I'll give you everybody else another minute, and I'll let you come back and be the last one to speak in a minute if that's what you want to do.
I think you should speak, sir. I think you should speak.
Well, in 3.5 years of being in council meetings, you've not heard me badmouth a fellow council member. I've ignored public speakers' negative comments about me, nor do I attack the integrity of citizen public speakers. I have ignored the snide remarks and comments from my colleagues. I feel most voters expect council meetings to be about addressing issues, not taking issues with people. Now I'm compelled to take part in this fiasco. Last meeting, a council member remarked to the public speaker that as a candidate for office was liberal with the facts and disingenuous. Now me also a candidate is under attack. Not hard to figure the political motivation. I think it's irresponsible to call a special meeting at taxpayers' expense that is not an emergency or necessary for the continuation of town business. The lack of care for taxpayer dollars just goes with the liberal spending we've seen in the last year from the council members that called this meeting. I am supposedly to have violated a social media guideline that Mr. McIntyre refers to. The town has no council social media policy. I trust the public will not like being misled that I'm being accused of violating something that is not even a town policy. The special meeting refers to recent emails and social media posts. I assume a major reason we're here is for my defense to protect the right of religious assembly in the proposed downtown plan. I am sure today's actions will be extremely frowned upon by many citizens. One of the items is elected officials may not submit a formal public information request. The town has a public records request policy. The policy does not appear to exempt the council. I have not submitted any formal PR request to the communication director. I make requests for and on behalf of the citizens to the town manager as fulfillment of my duties as a representative of the people. Item 4 refers to me making every effort to direct questions, inquiries, such to the town manager. I have 86 pages of sent emails for June, July, and August. Almost all sent to the town manager, and the other few, the town manager was copied. An excellent example of making every effort. There are other emails sent to the town attorney. The town attorney is one of 2 statutory positions under state law that report directly to the council. My 86 pages of emails also clearly dispute item 1 charge of communication with town staff and not the town manager. Item 4 refers to making requests for information regarding current or former employees or an investigation of town affairs. I have not hired an attorney or any firm to look into a previous or current employee or launch any type of investigation. And the town manager on August 28th confirmed he's not aware of any communication from an outside firm or legal counsel. As far as IT elected officials code of ethics that's referred to, it states it should not be a substitute for the law or the council's best judgment, and talks about ethical conduct that warrants the trust of their constituents. I have a duty to represent the people of my best judgment, not to be judged by Councilman McIntyre and Councilman Gay. The only way to know I have the trust of the constituents is with an election. As far as social media, the town has passed no council social media policy. I believe in promoting small businesses, as the proposed plan prohibits lots of types of small businesses. And when a town representative publicly refers to not permitting churches as something we wanted in a town meeting, I have every right to let the public know I am not part of the we. I do not agree. I do not represent the staff and what they want. I represent the people and their wishes. I think the majority of people agree with me. Evidently, public opinion must be prevalent, as the updated revised proposed plan emailed yesterday has revived language regarding the existing churches in the core. Still not satisfactory to me. Churches are some of the best looking or recognizable buildings in a town, just like the Presbyterian Church here. You would think we want more, not less. I like to add that I stand by the factual nature of my posts that seem to be referenced from my campaign page. Any quote posted, even not potentially 100% word for word, does not result in material change in the meaning conveyed by the statements, as ruled by the Supreme Court. I have not asked for any employee to be fired. He quotes a comment that was made on my page by a citizen. The U2 stamp transcript at 2/18/01 says, quote, dead space, I know churches, eliminating that use might be hard. U2 stamp 2/18/19, that creates a lot of dead space for the environment that we're trying to create, or what we said we wanted. Doesn't seem to be the same quote he said. So, I think the Supreme Court backs up my meaning of what I said. There was a discussion about building height at the last council meeting. The citizen mentioned 100 feet height in the plan. Page 20 of the original poster has 100 feet in industrial district, 75 feet in another, 60 feet in another one. Ethics is defending the citizens when they are right. I take my role as a council member seriously. I am a working council member, and I think the citizens can see I'm very active and promote the Indian Trail community. I realize that a council can censor someone for any reason, as much as just not liking what they say. It has no legal effect, and I've not been found guilty of a crime, and will leave here today with my service to the community upheld, my character still intact, and now I defended the people's right to religious assembly. These allegations are trivial. This is the first time I'm hearing of them, as I was provided no documentation or presented any evidence of the details of the allegations in advance. It was totally an ambush. I fully expect to seek independent legal counsel to make sure my First Amendment rights have not been violated, been afforded proper due process, and explore all possible avenues of actions for false claims, slander, or defamation of character. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and also I'd like to request 90 days to formulate a proper response and to go over the actual factual nature of anything stated here. Review transcripts and any other thing afforded to me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I'll see everybody on the campaign trail.
Mr. Barber? Any follow-up?
Yeah, this was filled with, again, mistruths. I guess the point just wasn't made. I'll read it verbatim. You eliminate those uses that consume a lot of land or consume a lot of dead space. I know churches, eliminating that use might be a hard choice, and this board can say no. We want to put churches back as a community use, and we will put that back, we'll put that capital T in the chat for you. However, Sunday morning and Wednesday night, that creates a lot of dead space for the environment that you are trying to create, or that we said we wanted. These are exact words. This is somebody sitting here telling you what your choices are, because they're not telling you what they want. It is up to the planning board to decide that. And if you look at the entire meeting, right, talking about religious liberty and wanting to protect churches, this thing is not even before the council. I haven't had a chance to offer my opinion on the matter because it doesn't sit with me. It sits with the planning board. They get to deliberate, they get to make their recommendation, and then when it's formally presented to council, and there is a public comment section, we can decide to whether we want to act. The proper way, in my opinion, this should have been discussed is you reach out to other members and you find out, are you interested in this? Can I get your support? Here's what I think. Or reach out to the manager, or reach out to the manager through the planning director to offer your opinion. But to offer that up and to have other members of the community calling for the firing of the IT planner, who offers not her opinion, right, not her personal opinion, but simply states her professional opinion, what she's hired to do, and to reach back and say that, what an ignorant statement. Those things are inflammatory. They create a hostile work environment. And for this council person to sit up there, right, and not even offer anything as in, well, maybe it was a poor choice of words. I'm really sorry I said that. Something of that sort. Nope. I stand by what I said and what I said. And then he talks about free speech and eliminating his right to free speech. I'm not asking to stop speaking. I haven't tried to infringe on that. Free speech is not free. You cannot say what you want. I believe in everybody having a right to free speech, but you can't yell out fire in a crowded theater. Free speech is protected, but if you cannot use it in writing to libel or speaking to libel or slander somebody. And in my opinion, this post that he made in regards to the council, the planning board meeting, the emails asking about how the town manager is going to handle an employee in a meeting, and talking about saying that the planning director makes an ignorant statement, those things, sir, create a hostile work environment. And I've been here, it's going to be 6 years soon. I've never been faced with something of that nature. I've seen a lot of posts, I've seen a lot of things. But anytime you post some, and there's things I may have disagreed with when people post them, but as long as they do not go attacking somebody and using false information, they can say whatever they want, it's their speech. But when it crosses that line, I have to speak up, and that's what I'm doing here now. I'm speaking up. I'm putting myself up and being counted.
Any other comments? Yeah.
I'm forever amazed at the number and the volume of emails, many of them frivolous, that are self-explanatory, that bogs down the staff. The staff is here to serve the citizens and to take care of the day-to-day issues. When the staff cannot get their own work done because they're being bogged down by so many emails, then the attorney, I estimate, and I'm sure probably more than this, there's got to be $10,000 worth of attorney fees that weren't necessary just because somebody wants to write an email and make people jump to handle these questions that just are repetitive and frivolous. I don't understand it. It is not serving the people of this town.
Anybody else?
I'll just say, I think full transparency and honesty are expected of council members, and I know some of the things that I read, I feel like it was things that are already being worked on and already been addressed and already being fixed, and it kind of put us back into where we're lighting a fire that isn't meant to be lit. So just honesty and transparency is super important of all of us, and I hope we all remember that.
So, just one thing, we talk about the guidelines.
Okay, Marcus, you've had your rebuttal. So would you like to?
Well, the answer, Mr. Gay, is I think a lot of people in Indian Trail would disagree with my emails are frivolous. William Rogers reported a problem over here on Indian Trail Road the other day to me. I let the town manager know they had it fixed in 2 days. I've reported tons of potholes, obstructions of trees. It's not, you know, it's not my fault they're not reaching out to Mr. Gay. You know, I mean, I'm sorry, but, you know, and the town manager has not once complained about me forwarding these over of these things throughout town. You know, maybe that's why I got a large social media following, you know. But the thing is I got a public notice to be here on allegations of violations. You can't violate a policy that don't exist. This isn't the world according to McIntyre. You know, he don't make the rules. He's down here trying to hold me accountable to his morality, not mine. Mine's higher than his, because I wasn't coming here and make the false statements he's made. So, yeah, you know, so that's where I'm at, is I think we ought to have a hearing, a violation of telling the public I violated a policy that don't exist. That's the biggest lie today. Politically trash, motivated, and Indian Trail. I'll see you on the campaign trail. Vote Todd Barber, vote change, because this is the type of crap the people in Indian Trail don't want. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Mr. Gay, you had your rebuttal, and everybody else. I just like to sum the meeting up and say, listen, this is not some place I want to be tonight. I can tell you that. This is, I'd much rather been doing something else than having a special meeting. I will say this. I read social media, and I read things that are written, and I don't know whether or not it fits policy or not, but when people don't tell, when you're talking about things on social media and you're not telling the truth, you're not giving facts, is the best way that I can put it. And
Point of order, if you want to debate the council.
no, I'm not debating. I'm not raising my voice. I'm giving my
That's a
opinion.
debate, you know, but your opinion is you're trying to insinuate maybe that I said something on that wasn't true. But that's not true.
McIntyre's been saying it.
He's making allegations.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
At this point, are you just giving your opinion, or are we continuing the debate on the matters that Mr. McIntyre?
I'm talking about what Mr. McIntyre was talking about. If I can't, then I won't.
No, you certainly can, but I think what Mr. Barber's wanting you to do is pass the gavel to him if you're
Well,
actually
certainly.
engaged in the
I
debate.
mean, I'll pass the gavel to you, and you can gavel me if you think I'm saying something wrong. I'm just trying to give my opinion, or pass the gavel down to,
Say your opinion,
anybody else.
and then I appreciate you having given me the opportunity to rebuttal if I'd like, okay?
We go back and forth. No. You know what I'm saying? I saw a social media post put on by somebody that is, owns some property downtown, and they disagreed and said that we had said we're here to protect churches. I think that's what the council does and has done, is protect churches. And I don't want to misspeak. I don't want to misspeak in what I'm saying is, but we had a council meeting where we tried to get the truth out. We said, listen, here's the truth. And we did it, and we talked about it. Again, we spent $90,000, our council voted on $90,000 to do a new plan for the downtown area. So that's what they chose. Our planning director was not as of her opinion of what it was. She was given what the planning people came up with it as our plan. So when she brought this plan, we could change this plan at any time. In our meeting, we had in the plan that if the church burned to the ground, that it had to be, if it burned all the way to the ground, you could no longer build the church back. That was called into me by a person who owned property, actually who owned part of a church in town, or who owns a storefront church. So I went to the planning director and I addressed this problem with the planning director and said, listen, I want to see a church be able to be built back even if it burns to the ground, 100%. And we did. And she changed it. And just my whole point here is, you know, the VFW was going to be, there was no VFW. Rumors got spread all over town about different things, about no more churches, couldn't build a church, couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. And with all that being said, all we had to do was go back to the planning director, or anybody else that sits in this room could have gone to the planning department and said, listen, I don't like that plan. Can we change it? And it would have been changed. That's all. It would have been changed. There's not one person that sits on this council that wants or is against churches. Not one. Not one. Not one other person sitting on this council made any kind of a public comment about it, because it's not in writing yet. It's not there yet. I didn't attend the planning board meetings because I watched the planning board meetings. It's not me. They're supposed to be an advisory to the council. So if I went to the planning board meetings and told them what I thought they should do, then they wouldn't be an advisory to me. So what we need to do at the end of this whole thing is to come up with a plan. Now, the odd thing about this whole deal was, at the end of each one of these posts, it had their, you know, support me, vote for my group of people. And the point that I'm trying to get across there is this could be voted on in the next meeting by this council if it wanted to be, but it's not. It's not, because this council wants to give the town the opportunity to do what the town wants it to do, not what one person wants to do. I didn't hear Crystal, I didn't hear Dennis, I didn't hear Marcus, I didn't hear anybody else up here going around town saying the churches are going to be torn down, VFW is going to go, because none of that's true. None of it's true. None of it's true. And it shouldn't be played as a political politics. And let's get this plan done. We've put it off. We can put it off to the next council. I don't care. I kind of like the old plan, to be honest with you, so we're going to stay with the old plan. I get a little bit off subject, I'm sorry. So I don't mean to do that. But to be honest, is there policy about honesty? Is there? Is there a policy that we about policy? Of course not. You should be honest on social media. Either the planning director said what Mr. Barber said, or she didn't. And I think facts will show that she didn't. And if she did not say what Mr. Barber said she said, and people are on the street saying, I want her to be fired for what somebody else said that's not true, it's not right. It's simply not right. And that's all I got to say. And listen, I don't want to be here. I think we've all done a marvelous job over time. So with that being said, Mr. Barber, go ahead.
Okay. The lady you said spoke about owning the church. She doesn't own the church. She owns the land,
She owns the
property, but she's renting to the church, so it's a different scenario. So then, what was that? When you talk about the VFW and things like that, is, you know, people say, well, there's a building there where the VFW is, but it's not the VFW building, because the legend says existing buildings are white. That building's not white. So when you hear things and they're misconstrued, you know, you can present the facts. I read the transcript from the YouTube video. So to insinuate I misrepresented what was said, it's just a lie. So it's right here. You can go look at it. So, you know, I appreciate what you're saying, but you know, it's also, they're running, got campaign pages. So, you know, I don't have an official Todd Barber council member page. I have an elect Todd Barber page. So it's all kind of part of it. And it's kind of odd that this meeting, which I've never been to a special meeting, is being held during campaign season. So that's what I got to say. And are you done? I'm done.
Yeah, well, I think we're all done, and hopefully we can pull this stuff up and watch it in the next meeting, what was exactly said. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think I'm right because I've watched it. So
I'll send you the transcript.
okay, well, I've got the transcript too.
This is the YouTube transcript.
Okay, well, we got the actual meeting up here, so we'll put it up here, and we can argue back and forth or whatever. So that calls this meeting, I guess.
Well, we do need to decide if we're going to continue this, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this meeting will be continued.
I don't know what the board wants to do.
Well, because the reason I asked you that question is because Ms. Amburgey is not here. So therefore, we will need to continue this to the next meeting. I still think that the council needs to take some action. My personal.
You can still, the agenda has possible direction.
Okay. So therefore, that is part of it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
As long as it's related to the business that you discussed tonight.
One second, let me pull up my agenda here. Just give me a minute, Mr. Mayor, let me just pull that up.
I'm waiting on Mr. McIntyre to continuance, see what, I don't know what he's got.
Yeah, sir, thank you. Sir, I stand by what I presented. What I presented is not something that I made up. I listened to the meeting. I don't wear hearing aids. My hearing is perfectly fine. So I stand by what I said. And the possible direction that I would recommend for the council is to either it's either our attorney, Melanie, or some outside counsel to take a look at the matter of what I presented, come up, see whether or not I presented is accurate. I know it is, but second pair of eyes doesn't hurt. And I'd like to bring a motion of censure against Mr. Barber. And I'll tell you why I want to do it. This is just something that, it's a solemn moment for me. Somebody I ran with 4 years ago. But the thing is, there was an opportunity afforded tonight where I presented what was said verbatim, didn't make anything up. And instead of these things, or an apology saying, well, I may have misspoken, or I may have, no, double down on this. So as much as to say that what I presented was not true or incorrect or not factual. So that leads me to think that this gentleman doesn't care about what he says, the words that he uses, how it affects other people. It's an election year. I don't care about the election. People will vote for whomever they feel they so choose, right? I'm not running. But the thing is, I cannot sit here and be part of a group where other people within the town are being, in my opinion, persecuted. That's just an opinion, not fact. But it's my opinion. Persecuted, and I say nothing. And I do nothing. We are the board. We police ourselves, all right? If it's something that's held in private, it's a private discussion, doesn't bother me at all, it's not my purview. But when it's out in the public domain and social media is the public domain.
30 seconds, please.
Thank you. So I put that item up so for the rest of the council, let them opine, and then I'll make a motion if we so choose.
All right, Mr. Barber.
Okay, he said I stated it was verbatim. I did not say that. I read the YouTube stamp. I said any quote posted, even not potentially 100% word for word, does not result in material change in the meaning conveyed by the statements. That's what I stood by. That's what I said. He misconstrued what I said again. He misrepresented what I said. So the point is, the meaning of the quote and what I posted materially is accurate. So that's what I did and what I stand by. I didn't say verbatim. Okay? My son's a journalist. I checked this with him because when you write an article or anything, you don't always get it 100%. But someone can't sue you because it's not 100%. So I checked this with the journalist. I checked with the Supreme Court ruling. So you want to come in here and act like I did something wrong when I didn't. And I didn't say it was verbatim. I stood by the meaning of the statement. And so if you want to have a motion or whatever, that's fine. But, you know, we don't sit up here and continually misconstrue what I said or what I posted.
Just the last.
So anyway, so go ahead. He's got a motion for an action he wants to make.
No, one question, and this is in reference to both of them. If you put quotation marks into a statement that you put on Facebook, is that not a quote, direct quote from the person?
It's the same as a newspaper.
I read it, if I see quotation marks, I assume that that's a quote. If I'm writing a legal brief to the court, I can't quote something if it's not a quote. As far as journalism rules, I haven't studied those, I can't comment on that, but I think the plain meaning of quotation is an actual quote.
And the only reason I just remembered seeing a quotation mark with a direct statement from the planning director, a direct quote. And when I read, and I do the same thing, if I see the quotation marks, then I'm assuming that's exactly how it was said, and it wasn't said that way. So anyway, it's just, we can go on. Mr. McIntyre, do you have something you want to?
Things to give his hands.
Okay, you want to do it?
I think that I don't see any change in, that there's going to be a change in behavior from the hostile work environment, the abuse of emails, the tons and tons of emails that come in that bog the staff down. So, I mean, I think that we do need to have a censor to go on record that this is not acceptable what's been going on.
So I'll make a motion on the floor if I can, because it says I can with possible action. We use outside counsel. Karen Walter would be a good suggestion, but you and the manager can decide that. To look into the allegations that I brought up. I have documentation that I will provide to you and the manager. So that way, Ms. Walter will decide or see if that is something that can be done. But I would like to move in that direction to get a motion of censure against Mr. Barber. I'm not going to offer any personal comments on that, but
just so we're clear on what the direction is to Ms. Walter, because you all as a board have the right to censure. I don't think she as an attorney is gonna advise you whether or not, right, that decision is yours or not. Are you instructing her to draft a resolution? And
yes.
then at the next meeting, you all can decide as a
Yes.
board, and at that point, Mr. Barber will see it, we'll have another chance to,
Certainly.
offer a defense, and then you all can decide whether or not that's something you wanna put
Yes,
on.
so that she can draft it. Yes.
Hey, do we need to make a motion for that, or do?
I think I just did.
A second.
All in favor? 3-4, all against? Mr. Barber's against.
I guess.
Yeah. With that being said, that being done, I guess we're done for the day. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?